we're going to talk about why it's critical to get off the bench without breaking the bank. And the thing is, like when you're sitting the bench, it leads to quitting. So you want to get off the bench. It's not fun. Like people who tell you, oh, it'll get better. Yeah, maybe. But if you don't have a plan, it won't. I watched a lot on the sidelines before I played in every sport and at every level, and I hated it. And you should hate it too. And if you don't hate it, something's wrong. So you're here for that, here to fix that. 70% of kids quit sports by age 13 because they are not having fun. There's various reasons why they're not having fun. Parents, coaches, you name it, injuries, whatever. But the reality is it's probably because you're not playing and you don't feel like you're very good at what you're doing. And so that is a little demoralizing. And the statistic is alarming. But like the positive view, which I like to do, look at the bright side. The positive view is lots of competition will just self-select themselves from the game. They're just going to remove themselves because, they don't want to do the work. So if a bunch of people are quitting, that leaves more opportunities for you to just kind of level up without actually doing anything. Perfect example, when I was playing in NFL Europe for the Cologne Centurions, no longer with us, RIP Cologne Centurions, I was like miserable the first like half of the season because I wasn't playing. I was watching this guy who was not better than me, but he had like the pedigree because he went to a better college than I did. He was playing in front of me. And so I'm watching until this guy self-selected himself out of the equation. Middle of a game against Berlin on the road. He gets into it with the head coach. There's like yelling and cursing. And then the coach is like, get out of here. And he sends him into the locker room mid-game. Dude looks at me, first time he looked at me in a game, and he's like, Grigsby, you're in. And I'm like, finally, it's about time. I got out there and I dominated. I almost led the league in sacks, playing half the games in the season because, I took advantage of my opportunity. I was ready. But the main reason it happened is because someone who had my spot selected himself out. He left. And there's other ways that people get selected out, injuries, all kinds of crazy stuff. I'll tell you more stories about it later. But anyway, so I'm saying all this. I want to say that, hey, quitting is something that you might end up doing. And I'm not telling you should quit if you hate it, but like some sports you just don't really enjoy. Like soccer for me, when I was 5, they put me at goalie and nobody could get the ball to me. So I sat on the ground the entire game, match, whatever you want to call it, picking daisies and weeds and digging in the dirt. Like it was miserable. I think the biggest reason why, besides, wanting to get on the field and just playing and not quitting, the biggest reason why you want to avoid spending money to get off the bench, you want to get off the bench but not spend a bunch of money, is there's a passion check involved here. So if you're a baller, if you're really gonna like be the guy, that dude, there's a burning fire inside of you. And like there's really no way to find out if there's a fire there if you're constantly just like pouring money on the problem, right? If you're constantly like paying your way into access rather than encouraging from the parent side or on the athlete side, rather than just investing the time, like Steph Curry, the 500 3-pointers a day, like doing the things like that no one else is doing every single day in a way that just is going to, over time, just completely separate you from the competition. Time invested is better than money invested. It's a true passion metric. It's what coaches love to see. Also, getting your butt off the bench without spending a bunch of money to pay someone to play you or get you better. It helps to develop a third door mentality, and I'm going to explain this quickly. Basically, a third door mentality is, imagine there's a nightclub. You can't get in because you're not young, you're not old enough, but like you're aware of what these things are. People stand in line for a long time to get into a nightclub. It's insane, but they stand in line forever, hours at a time. Sometimes they think it's like, oh, this is a cool place because everyone wants to get in. But the reality is, most of these people are just not going to get in. And then there are these people who are like VIPs. I say VIPs because, like, are you really better, more important than like everyone else? Probably not. You just know someone, and or you've got more money, and they're like, oh yeah, come on in. Those people just skip the line, right? Not everyone's going to be able to do that. And with sports, you're definitely not going to be able to skip the line, at least not for long. Eventually, that door will shut for you if you're trying to skip the line with status and prestige. So there's this third door, this back door. There's a cracked window in the back. There's like some finesse that you can do. There's a thing that you can say to this guy here, or there's a way that you can influence someone in a way where they're just going to say, you know what? I like you. I like your hustle. I like your determination. I like your attitude. I'm going to let you in. Or maybe you just snuck in. I snuck into a Super Bowl party once. It was awesome. A Maxim Super Bowl party where I had no way to get in, and I just snuck in because I realized that they're throwing this party at a hotel. And you know what? If you're throwing a party at a hotel, it's very hard to secure all the entry points. You got all these beautiful flowing, like giant curtains everywhere. There's so many ways to sneak in. So I snuck in. And that was the third door, and I had a great time. I didn't have to pay for the ticket. I didn't have to be important because I wasn't. I mean, yeah, I was an NFL player, but like not important enough to get into that party. So it's essentially just being strategic and clever and willing to just say, you know what, I don't have everything, but I've got enough ingredients here to put something together to where I can get something substantially beyond what I should expect to get, because I'm willing to just not give up, not whine, not quit. Third door mentality, super, super important. It helps you to avoid helplessness, to take more action and not wait in a passive state. Passivity does not work in life. Definitely doesn't work in football. You need to be aggressive. And a third door mindset is an aggressive mindset. And I'm not saying, helpless people like, oh, look, if you need help, ask for help. But like, it's not cool to be reliant. So if you're reliant, no one likes that. If you're willing to ask for help when you need it because you're not, so full of yourself and so above the concept that you might need help, then that's a good thing. It's humility. That's a good thing. So, but overall, look for ways to solve problems for yourself. Figure it out, right? That's what you want to do. Another thing, just a side note on avoiding helplessness. A great way to do that is just to skip the complainers. Don't sit with those people. The sideline is full of people complaining. They are going to stay there because they're complaining. So either find someone on the sideline to stand next to who doesn't complain, or just don't talk to anyone. Matter of fact, don't talk to anyone on the sideline, because you should be paying attention to what the people who are playing are doing, learning from them. Pay attention to the people who have what you want, not the people who have what you don't want. All right? All right, parents, real quick. Why would you want to not spend money on your son so that he can get more playing time? Well, I'll just say this. I had to crunch the numbers, and this is what I would call a $500,000 mistake. The cost of a trainer, as you know, or maybe you don't, when you find out, you'll be like, whoa, $260 a month on the low end. Some pay as much as $600 a month. And if you were working with me, I'd be charging like, I don't know, $2,000 a month. Like, that's a lot of money. And if you took that money and you invested it in the stock market in an index fund for 8 years, and you let the money sit for 30 years, so a total of 38 years, and you had a 9% average annual return, that would yield $482,000 on the low end to $1.1 million on the high end on those payments, those monthly payments, the $260 a month versus the $600 a month. That's a house. That's a house, okay? No trainer on earth is worth a house. I mean, we'll talk about the value. Trainers have some value. especially if like your athlete has shown the willingness to invest time, lots of time on their own to get themselves to an elite level. A trainer can help you like get over the hump, but like, it's not the best move. You got to be careful about the sunken cost trap. So you might have already spent money on trainers. You might have already spent money on travel teams, things like that. But the thing is, continuing to throw good money after bad, not a good idea. Sometimes you got to just know when to hold them and know when to fold them and know when to walk away. Something like that. I can't remember the lyrics. But sometimes quitting is good, whether it's investing money in development or whether it's just investing time in the sport itself. So when we talk about we want to avoid quitting, sometimes you're in the wrong sport. And I'm not saying you should quit, but you should definitely give your athlete an opportunity to figure out whether or not this sport is truly for them. And a great way to do that is just to see, like, is he going to play video games? Or is he going to go out there in the yard and practice hitting that post over and over again if he's a defensive lineman or whatever, right? So quick story about sunken cost and disappointment, sadness. Very quick. I'm going to do this as quickly as possible. I met this woman whose son decided after years of playing baseball, he's been playing baseball since he was like 5. He decided at age 17 he didn't want to play anymore. He had a scholarship offer on the table to like a D2 school, and he just said, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to learn how to build engines. I want to, build, restore cars. I want to be a mechanic. Like, he loved that stuff. And his dad was like devastated because his dad was like a minor league baseball player back in the day who didn't quite make it to the majors. And he was hoping that he could like live through his son. Man, what a mistake. Do not live through your son. If your son is interested in it, then your son is going to like take the path and go the distance or not. But you trying to make them go there, it's very well going to end in something where you wake up a decade later and you're like, oh man, I just spent all this time for nothing, all this money for nothing. So yeah, there you go.